Good morning, everyone, or afternoon, or evening, depending where you are. Just if I get a thumbs up for someone on a panel, if you can hear me. Perfect. Awesome. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. First of all, thanks for joining. I appreciate everybody's got a lot of things on the go, and I appreciate you guys giving us up an hour of your time. So we're here to talk about S4, the new offering, not new offering, but the primary offering, if you want to call that, from SAP around ERP. We want to talk a little bit about the S4, the Business One offering and the ByDesign offering, and so the agenda looks like this. We did the introductions. We didn't formalize introductions. We decided, you know what, we'll just put up some nice pictures of our panel, and that'll be kind of the introduction. And so you saw those. We'll talk a little bit about the SAP ERP offerings, more specifically around what's the latest update on each of the ERP offerings. And then we'll move into a bit of a panel discussion, a little bit of a different approach to this. So hopefully it lands well with you guys, but we want it to be more about questions that you have versus questions that we think you have. And then talk a little bit about next steps. And then we'll kind of wrap it up with a key takeaway, as well as let you know about our upcoming episodes. So again, if you have any questions, Sonia will be on here moderating. She will let me know that there's a question, because I can't necessarily see who's raised their hand. So 2 ways of asking the question. One is to raise your hand and come off mute. The other one is to put into the Q&A chat window, which you can see in the very top bar, top menu bar of your Teams window. All right, so moving into SAP ERP offerings. So first, we'll go from left to right on the ERP offerings. Oh, sorry, we got a poll question. So yeah, forgot to mention this, guys. Just to kind of keep things fun and interesting, learn a little bit about each other. You'll see these poll questions pop up every once in a while. If you don't want to complete them, you don't have to. But if you want to see the results, you'll have to kind of complete them as well. So. 50% are not winning. Yeah, oh, that's going up to 65. So I guess we're getting out of our COVID mode. So really funny story on this, guys. About 3 years ago, I was in a conversation with Leslie Jaguar, who was my manager back at the time, and this is just during the work from home COVID days, and we were talking about dress code. And Leslie is usually, I'm not sure if she's on the call or not, but she's usually a business professional or business casual, is kind of her attire. And we started talking about, and I don't know how it came to it, but she mentioned that even during COVID, she was wearing her designer shoes at home and things like that. So completely business professional and things like that. And I was sitting there wearing my dress shirt with a pair of joggers and bare feet. And so I was like, well, I must be really underdressed. But ever since that day, I now wear dress shirt, joggers, and socks. So I have upped my game. So thank you for that, Leslie. I appreciate it. All right, let's get into the ERP offering. So we'll go left to right. So SAP Business One, everybody knows it's an on-prem solution. It's actually the most popular ERP offering from SAP. So you can see about 75,000 customers. I think that's obviously, it's probably upwards of 80,000. So what we know about SAP Business One, it will have a continued roadmap. We'll see new features, functionality, and things like that being added to it. It'll be fully supported. And so that's not going away in any way. What we won't see from Business One is a true public cloud ERP offering at this time. That may change, but that's what we know right now. Moving on to the right side, we've got SAP ByDesign. SAP ByDesign has been deemed a mature product by SAP. What that means is, in their vision, they feel, or in their opinion, they feel that it has the necessary functionality to be a full-blown ERP. What that means to you is, the updates now will be limited to compliance and localization and taxations and things like that. So most of the features and additional enhancements and things that you are going to be looking for or are going to be getting will be coming through your SAP partners, like such as VistaView, and not necessarily through SAP. But I won't talk too much about, I won't talk about ECC at all, because I don't think we have any ECC customers on the call. Moving over to the right-hand side, we have SAP's Go Forward ERP solution. So you probably hear a lot about SAP S/4HANA Public Cloud Private Edition. You might also hear it called SAP Cloud ERP and SAP Cloud ERP Private. They're the same. So SAP Cloud is the same as SAP S/4HANA Public, and SAP Cloud ERP Private is the same as the Private Edition. Won't spend any time or too much time talking about the Private Edition, but they are two very different products. So even though they kind of share the same name, different products. Private Edition is more for larger multi-billion-dollar organizations or public sector companies, organizations that require data sovereignty or high levels of customization, or they need to be on their own private cloud. We'll focus this session on SAP's S4 Public, and we'll call it S4 Public through this just to kind of make it easier. And I think that's what most people in the audience here kind of refer to it as. So SAP S4 Public, the biggest thing I can tell you guys, this is SAP's next gen ERP. This is where they're focusing all their development, all their marketing dollars and things like that. So the AI development and things like that. So if SAP had a dollar to spend on ERP, 90 cents of that dollar is going to go to S4 Public. So again, they'll continue to innovate the product. So you'll see a lot of innovations and automations and things like that in that product. So before we get into S4 Public, I wanted to talk about a little bit about SAP's larger enterprise management solution. And what I mean by that is it's something that they refer to as SAP Business Suite. SAP Business Suite. And so looking at that, at the heart of the SAP Business Suite is Cloud ERP, and then what they call SAP calls Business Data Cloud. So we'll talk a little bit about those things by level. So the very bottom level here, let me bring my little laser up. So this very bottom section here, this is a section of the line of business application. So this is where you'd see S4 Public reside. You'd see your HRIS system and things like that. And so those are systems that are SAP, but even cooler, they're also non-SAP applications. So ServiceNow or Workday or UKG for payroll. So those are all in that blue area section. What makes this really cool is that with the use of BTP, and we'll talk a little bit about BTP later on, but it's a platform that enables customers and partners to do more with their solutions, so automations and integrations and AI development and things like that. But in this particular area, all these applications are integrated together. So the benefit of that is obviously data consistency and eliminating duplicate data entry and eliminating manual entry, which sounds great, not very exciting, but it gets a lot more interesting when you move to the next level. So the next level is SAP's Business Data Cloud. And so this is where all of the information from these lines of business applications resides. So the data resides up here. It's both structured, unstructured data, it's transactional data, it's analytical data. So every bit of data you have in applications flows up to this top part here. And so what makes this really cool is you think about it, when we think about sales history, we look at a customer, we see how much they're buying, this month, how much they bought last year versus the year before. This takes it to another level. Let's say we apply a bit of a marketing campaign. So from our customer experience application, we can pull marketing information and overlay the marketing information like marketing campaigns. So our customers buying during our marketing, which marketing campaigns are our customers buying it and which cycles and things like that. Then on top of that, we can lay in customer sentiment. So if we're thinking about customer success and customer sentiment from our customer success platform, we can pull in customer sentiment and really determine are happy customers truly buying customers, or is that just a false statement and things like that. So you can overlay data to get you more insights than just pure sales history and things like that. Then it gets even more interesting when you layer on the top layer, which is AI and SAP's investment into AI. So SAP is investing in Joule. Everybody knows, well, most people know what Joule is. It's SAP's or S4's AI assistant. So think about when you go to websites and company websites, a little bot pops up in the bottom right-hand corner, and they're frustrating because you ask them a question, they don't have the answer because it's all very genericized and it's just coming from a centralized knowledge base. But Joule is a little bit different. Joule is embedded in S4. So when you're asking questions or asking to do tasks, it's based on your data within your ERP system. So it's not generic. It may pull a how-to document, but when you're asking to create a sales order for a customer, it's creating based on the information you provide and things like that. So when it's giving you information, how-to information, that could be specific to the S4. But when you're asking it for what is my customer's address, or something simple like that. That's pulling from your data, so it becomes more reliable. Taking that to the next level, we have the embedded AI side of things, and with the embedded AI, they're called AI agents, and these AI agents are embedded. They're pre-built, but you also, using the BTP technology, have the ability to build your own AI. So your AI agents, now these AI agents don't operate in silos; they work together. So and they communicate together. So I'll give you an example. I'm gonna pause for breath. So think about an AI bot residing in your HR system, and this AI bot is looking at employee skills and performance, and it's using machine learning to look at risks of attrition. It's looking at contracts that are expiring, employee contracts that are expiring. It's looking at retirement, long-term leaves and absences. And then you have another bot in your ERP system that is looking at demand forecasting. And so it's looking at sales history, market trends. It's looking at your production schedule, production planning, and things like that. It provides that information to the HR bot that now looks at it and says, and determines where there's going to be potential skills gaps down the road, or labor shortage down the road, and things like that. It combines that information and it shares that information out to on a unified dashboard to the HR manager and your operations manager. And beyond just sharing the information that will have these shortages, it makes recommendations that, hey, we need to train these people in this skill, or we need to hire at this time of the year, and things like that. So that's all the automation, a pretty powerful way of getting information to you, but completely automated. So I'm going to pause for a second there before I move to the next slide and talk about S4. Are there any questions? Okay. S4 public. So a lot on this slide. I'm not going to speak to every one of the highlighting points, just some of the ones that I wanted to highlight. Sorry, I won't speak to every point, but just some of the ones I wanted to highlight. So the ERP itself, it is built on 50 plus years of experience working with world-class organizations. Now, what does that mean? Working with those world-class organizations, SAP has figured out some of the best practices that are out there and things like that. And they've built those into the solution. Beyond that, the functionality is more feature rich. It's more relevant to the industries and things like that. So that's a very big, important thing to understand, is that there's 50 years of experience going into this product. And then we think from a cloud operations perspective. I didn't know this, but Copilot told me this. 10 trillion US dollars were lost last year in 2024 to cyber breaches data breaches and cyber attacks. And that's a lot of money. So, in the S4 public cloud, you don't have to worry about security. That security is handled by the people that know how to do it. And so eliminates that risk that you're in that situation, or you're part of that $10 trillion next year. Performance is great as well too. It's on a hyperscaler performance. So the largest cloud providers in the world, Microsoft and AWS, are providing these servers. So performance is ideal. Upgrades, this is more in the B1 world. I know that some of the B1 customers, upgrades, they're costly. They take time and things like that. In the S4 world, those upgrades go away because they're tested and rolled out by SAP. So you're literally handed an upgraded system versus having to pay for it and things like that. The SLA is 99.9. I think every week in the B1 world, we probably get a support ticket, at least one support ticket every week that's about the database being down, crashed, or I can't access it and things like that. That takes time, and when those downtimes can be a minute, or they can be days as well too, and that impacts your business. So having an SLA of 99.9 gives you a good assurance that your systems and your business is not going to be down for a long period of time, or if ever. From a technology and integration perspective, I wanted to highlight the S4 has 3,400 pre-built integrations. Now, what does that mean to you? Well, S4 is not going to necessarily be everything to you, so you might have systems outside of S4 that you need to run your business. Having 3,400 pre-built integrations increases the chances that we have a pre-built integration, so it saves you cost and time to build that. And if we don't have that, we have the BTP platform that will help allow us to build those types of integrations as well too. So from intelligent technology, we talked a little bit about Joule. I won't talk any more about that. We talked about embedded AI as well too. So I'll leave that. From a user experience perspective, I wrote personalized. Personalized is, there's a lot of databases or ERP systems out there that you can personalize, and things can get, and things are in there, and you can move things around. But the level of personalization in S4 is pretty phenomenal. So you can move things around, you can declutter your workspace and things like that. And you can also add in alerts, and alerts here are really cool because the alerts aren't just alerts. They will provide you insight or recommended actions to take. So it goes beyond just telling you, hey, this is happening. It tells you, hey, this is happening, and this is what you need to do to correct it and things. So collaboration, it's got a good collaboration around Microsoft Teams and things like that. And so that's really good. And collaboration on Teams, a collaboration on Outlook. So what that means is if you're a sales manager and you identify some sales activity that's unusual for your customer, you can go directly from S4 and it pops up in a Teams chat, brings in the data and information, and you can immediately start talking to your team about, hey, why is this customer buying activity a little unusual right this month? And so gives you a little bit of that. And then mobile ready. And again, this is one of the ones that most applications or ERP applications have some sort of mobile capability, but with S4, it's very feature rich and functionality rich. So it's not just a screen that you can approve things on. It gives you a lot more than that. So, moving on, I'm being told I'm running short a little bit of time, but we will try and speed this up a little bit. So I want to move into panel discussion. Again, guys, you have a Q&A and a chat button here, but we got a poll question. Wow, I'd like to talk to the something stronger people. I'm not sure what you're having it. Well, it's 10 o'clock to 10:15 over here, but great stuff. So we're going to move on from that. In the poll discussion, like I said, we'll talk a little bit. We're going to flip the switch a little bit here and have us speak to what you guys have with respect to questions and things like that. Again, it's a Q&A. If you do have questions that we aren't necessarily on our slides, feel free to chat, raise your hand, or go in the Q&A itself. We'll do our best to answer as many questions as we can, but we may not get to all of them, but we will follow up with you in a follow-up email. So before we do that, I hope Bill is on the call, if we can get Bill to come off mute, but I want to talk a little bit about a success story or a story around S4. So Carrington Farms, Carrington Farms has been successfully running their operations on Business One. Earlier this year, they made a decision to go to S4, and so I wanted Bill to come online to kind of give us an idea of what the decision process was for that. So Bill was one of the key decision makers in moving to S4 or making the decision to move to S4. They start their journey here in October, so they're not in the implementation, but they're just coming out of that sales cycle where they made that decision to move to S4. So, Bill, are you on?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, Bill, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Very good, Bill. First of all, thanks for joining. And I think I always find that customers hearing from other customers resonates better. So I appreciate you spending some time with us. So I had a few questions. I won't take up too much time because we are running behind, but I want to spend some time with you. So, Bill, let everybody kind of get everybody an idea of what you guys are kind of using Business One for, the application, or sorry, the functional areas and things that you're using Business One for.
Okay. Yeah. So we are a provider for health foods. So we provide customers with coconut oil, grains, ghee, protein powder, and so we take in materials, components, and process them through our co-packers, which are basically another warehouse in our Business One system, and transfer them to our 3PL and sell them to end users, well, customers, distributors mostly. Yeah, so we heavy with the production module, but there's some hangups on there, but hopefully we'll resolve them in S4.
Perfect. And Bill, that kind of leads me to the second question. And so, what are some of the challenges and gaps that in your current system that made you look for another ERP solution?
There was it fit our needs, but we're at the point of, I want to say we were maxed out, but we were growing in a way that Business One, I don't know, wasn't as flexible with what our needs were. different modules we had were pretty basic. So, like with accounting dimensions and with, they were vague. A lot of times we'll have shared items. So something like coconut oil may be used in private label or branded product. And if you wanted to get a cost accounting or a P&L, balance sheet, whatever it would be, but accounting dimensions were kind of limited to, the different dimensions that we had. And if we cross dimensions, it kind of skewed the numbers. So, we'll look for a cleaner way to kind of keep track of a more robust accounting package, especially, and MRP for forecasting.
Awesome. One last quick question. If you were to say, pick one thing from S4 that you think is going to have the most value or drive the most value, either functionality or technology, what would you say that one thing is?
Well, AI is a big feature.
Okay.
The feature for AP invoicing, AP automation of invoicing. That's going to save a lot of time. Documents, document scanning, things of that nature.
Awesome.
Save a lot of time on our end.
That's awesome. Well, Bill, that was more than one, but I appreciate that. So
right.
Again, I appreciate the time and good luck on your S4 journey. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys going live.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey,
All right,
Hart,
guys,
we
yeah.
do have a question in the chat for Bill. Can
Okay.
you see that question, or you want me to read it out loud?
If you don't mind reading it, it'd be great.
Yeah, sure. So the question is, did they make any modifications for B1 before deciding to move to S4, and what was the cost part of their decision?
Cost is a big factor, but also licensing was a big factor too. With the automate. I'm sorry. What was the part about enhancements?
So the question was about the modifications to B1 before they decided to move to S4.
We don't have too many modifications. Most of it were, small AIS achievement solutions, which were, was bought out by Vestibule. We had small add-ons, things with automation, but really was no too many enhancements. We did have a document scanning software, which was OCR, and it's cumbersome, to say it best, but we're looking to sell for something that would handle more documents, and the programming wouldn't be so in depth for it. But licensing was a big issue. We were trying to get licensing in before that licensing platform ended.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for that, Bill.
Sure.
Thank you, and thank you, Jim, for the question.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into some of the questions that we've been hearing about. So I'm not going to read the question, but I'll let my panel kind of speak to it.
Looks like an Alex question. Hey, everybody. So yeah, I'm kind of a finance solution architect. So I get questions like this quite a bit. So the question is, over the years, many companies have made a number of acquisitions. We now have multiple legal entities. Business One natively does not support intercompany. Does S4 support this? So yeah, S4 does support that, and correct. B1 does not have native intercompany support. Some of you may be familiar with, there's an intercompany add-on. Lots of interesting, frustrating stories with that add-on. Sometimes it worked great, sometimes not. But with in the cloud ERP, it's a single tenant. So first of all, that the function, like the mechanism to do intercompany, it's just there, because anything to do in B1, you'd have to be talking kind of from SQL Server to SQL Server in order for intercompany to work. And that's where the mechanics of like something sitting on top to do intercompany becomes really complex. So just natively, it's going to be easier in public cloud because all of your master data is shared by all your legal entities. And I should say, should you want it to be shared. So you can share suppliers, you can share customers, you can share products, you share chart of accounts. to whatever level you want to. So you can specify inside those products, customers, et cetera, which companies are entitled to access it. So that becomes a foundation for intercompany to just work automatically. So the system kind of auto configures your companies so that each of your legal entities is also a business partner. So all the basis is there. You just have to and so for things like pay on behalf, doing something like stock transfers between companies, product exchanges, third-party shipment from another company, or a journal entry. So debit company A, credit company B, the system is automatically going to create your offsetting debits and credits to a due to, due from GL account. And it also comes with a pretty cool module. So ByDesign does a lot of these same things. But what's nice in the cloud ERP with S4 is there is an intercompany reconciliation module that allows you one screen to kind of go in and reconcile that intercompany and make sure that everything is balancing and do any kind of adjustments if there's currency exchange issues or things like that.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Alex. Appreciate it. How does SAP's roadmap for AI, IoT, and predictive analysis in S4 compare to what's possible in ByDesign today?
I think I'll take that one. Hello, everyone. This is Wen Ling. I'm a solution architect here with View Solutions. So I think Hart mentioned earlier in the slides that S4 HANA Public Cloud has embedded AI functionalities, which I think is probably the bigger difference compared to ByDesign today, because as we know, ByDesign has limited AI features, and the plan is the more AI focus is going to put in the SAP Cloud ERP solution, which is the HANA Public Cloud now. And in S4 HANA Public Cloud, this year they launched the Joule, the AI Copilot, which will allow users to online, when they log into the system, ask questions to Joule, and then Joule responds to your questions, either give you answers quickly or take you to those actions where you can either open transactions to fulfill those tasks, etc. There's also a lot of AI-powered scenarios published in the S4 HANA Public Cloud system, which allow users to process certain transactions more quicker. Like, for example, doing reconciliations is one part, and also running some reports, etc. I don't know, anything else you want to chime in, Alex, for this part?
No, I think that covers it.
Perfect. Awesome. Let's move on to the next one. We've got some questions in the
So-
chat window, so I'll take those as well, Sonia, for sure. Before I do, let me just read a couple out of the chat window. So Nick had asked, there's a third-party cost for the intercompany with hosting licenses with a third-party provider. Does the S4 intercompany come with an additional cost? No, it's built right into it. It's a part of the base functionality. And that would be a cost savings, Nick, for you guys, because I know you're on B1 and you guys are paying a lot for your intercompany solution. Let's go. I'll come back to the Q&A chat window, but let's go back over to the PowerPoint and say, will S4 support all the modules we currently use in ByDesign?
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and take that one. So hello everyone, my name's Nikhil Singh. I'm the head of ByDesign and also the head for S4 migrations. Yeah, so S4, like Hark mentioned earlier, natively covers, I think, 900 plus processes out of the box. So what that means for your organization is if you're moving from ByDesign, which only currently covers 39, the majority of those processes will be covered directly out of the box, and even covers some of those processes that maybe you guys are doing manually, either outside the system or by using workarounds within ByDesign. So S4 is very, very rich in features and functionalities, because remember, it was developed for that that large enterprise mindset, but then watered down and brought down into the mid-market. So you guys gain a lot of synergies with additional processes being available to you. Now, there are some scenarios where, hey, ByDesign did, opportunity management directly out of the ERP, where S4 has decided to take a slightly different approach to that. Instead of building opportunity management directly into S4. They've decided to invest time and money into a line of business solution, for instance, Sales Cloud, that is very, very deep and it's specific to that particular function. These are solutions that also integrate natively directly into S4, like Hark was mentioning earlier, and then builds up into that semantic data layers and then eventually into your AI agents. So there will be some scenarios where maybe S4 hasn't invested that directly into the S4 product, but more so into the corresponding line of business solutions that are supporting that ecosystem.
Thank you, Nikhil.
Yep.
I'm going to pull another one up from the Q&A chat.
I see some questions there. Do you want me to take this one from Jim, where he asking, in the past years, there's been a lot of pushes to, use the Microsoft Power BI dashboards for operational data. So I think, I don't know which system you're on right now, either B1 or ByDesign. Reporting.
So Wendy, can you read the entire question, because
sure.
We're the only ones that can see the Q&A.
Yeah, so the question from Jim is, in the past years, there has been a tremendous push from management team to implement Microsoft Power BI dashboard for operational data. When we move to S4, will the ERP itself provide these functionalities, or would this come from the SAP S analytic cloud platform? So what I want to mention is S4 out of the box has embedded analytics tools, which is, in my mind, is tens, hundreds powerful than what B1 and ByDesign offers today, because that embedded analytics tool is give you real-time data based on the transactional data the users put in. And you can create your own dashboards, KPIs within that data queue within S4 itself. Now, it doesn't mean that you don't need to use SAP Analytics Cloud. SAP Analytics Cloud will give you another level of reporting tool, which allow you to consolidate the reporting data, not just from SAP, but also from your other system. Maybe you have another system operating on third-party, warehouse logistics, or another system operating on different, legal entities that you want to consolidate the data together. That's where you probably want to leverage the reporting tools in SAC. But otherwise, I think the embedded reporting that you get from SAP S/4HANA Public Cloud will meet most of your requirements there.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Wenling. I'm back on the slides. How do we manage user access and security in S4? Is it any different than in ByDesign?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think a lot of IT teams probably be happy with the answer. So in BYD currently, how teams are managing that is you're creating a user and the user's logging directly into the platform. If you've enabled SSO, well, then you can also log in via SSO. S4 is really natively looking to do more of an SSO approach. So they offer us tools for us to for security purposes, to allow a user to have a single sign-on experience, not only logging into S4, but also any of the line of business solutions within that suite. And then they've taken it a step further as well. Their SSO technology can integrate directly with, your Microsoft stack if you're using Azure, as well as allow you guys to provision users from onboarding. It can then provision the users and all of the applicable solutions that you guys have in your stack. So whether that's S4 or any of the SAP line of business solutions, it will allow you guys to not only onboard, but also provision users and send out all those emails automatically. Where today in ByDesign, that's a very manual process. And there's nothing there for automatic provisioning without customization.
Thank you for that. Anything else the panel wants to add, or that covers it off? James, just looking at it, I think this is for you. Can you explain the licensing model for S4 Public? What entitlements can we get when we purchase S4? And are there any incentives or discounts currently for companies interested in migrating to S4?
Yeah, a nice three-pronged question there. So I'll try to keep it maybe 6 minutes. No, I'm joking. I'll try and do this this quickly. So James Dowdle, nice to meet everyone. Thanks for taking the time to join the webinar today. I work on the sales side with new clients that are exploring S/4HANA Cloud Public Edition for their organization. So to kick things off with SAP S4's public cloud licensing model, SAP's really looked this year to simplify how the cloud ERP is licensed. I know looking at this slide, you're saying James, that does not look simple, but that's the underlying message and the purpose behind this new named user license model. It's based on clear user types, business packages, so it's easier to understand ultimately whether you're an operational business, whether you're a transactional business, to understand the end budget for the packages and the license types that you're going to require. This is more similarly modeled as well to what you would be used to with Business One and ByDesign, with there being a concurrent named user license for an individual employee at your organization. So high level picture, you have the business suite packages, which you can see on the screen with the finance premium, finance base, SCM, which is supply chain management base, and the premium, and then operational and self-service. But the business suite packages, you're really starting with these business area packages. So for most customers, that's finance base or finance premium, just depending on the level of functionality that you need. And then if you have supply chain needs, you can then look at adding the base or the premium on the supply chain side as well. So it gives you all the core functionality for that business area, which makes it easier for us as the partner, also easier for the customer, because we have sort of a starting package of functionality that we're going to be looking at including for all organizations that fit within a certain model. What's also nice is that each of these license groups, these packages, it's a nested model, meaning that the higher level packages, they include everything that would be included in the lower ones. And then when you look at the named user types down at the bottom as well, the operational, the self-service, there's also developer users. Probably not many customers use those developer users today, but operational users, that's day-to-day transactionals, so sales order entry, purchasing, and then self-service users similar to ByDesign for approvers, time expense entry, light access. So the overall result is really to try and make this a predictable, scalable subscription that's easy to manage, easy to budget for. And then that way you can focus on the business areas today, assign the right user types to your team, and you can add more users and packages as you grow without relicensing or starting over. What was the second question there, Hark?
Yeah, it was around entitlements. Are there any entitlements available?
Right. Okay, so that's a great question. S4 on a cloud, one of the biggest advantages is that your subscription doesn't just give you access to the software. It does come with a full set of entitlements that's designed to make your implementation successful, keep you continuously innovating. You'll see in the bullet points under the finance premium, finance base, there's all of these extra pieces of functionality and names that some of them you may be familiar with, some of them you may not be, but essentially what this provides to an organization is that land and expand, that crawl, walk, run, that phased approach. If there's something today that, whenever we start an evaluation of S4 Cloud with a client, we look at what is going to be the MVP approach. So minimum viable scope of software. We look at focusing on tangible wins where we can generate fast ROI. We can start delivering value and functionality to the client from day one. Beyond that, though, I mean, an SAP implementation, there's always more you can do with it. There's new markets you can move into. There's new products you can develop. There's acquisitions that can come in the future. So I won't go into detail on each of these specifically, but within the finance premium package, as an example, you have Ariba Central Invoice Management in there, which I believe was mentioned earlier, the AP automation, the embedded portal, the bot that sits within inside your inbox to pull out all of your invoices and manually up those back into your financial system. So that may not be something that we want to stand up as part of the first phase, but what's nice with this package is that functionality is available to you as an S4 client. So when you are ready, you're able to explore these new pieces, these new entitlements, and add them when it makes the most sense for your business. And the last question, Hark?
Was around discounts. Do I get a discount?
Everybody's favorite topic. Discounts and incentives. So prior to joining, I've been at VistaView for 2 years. Prior to joining VistaView, I spent 7 years working directly at SAP in the ERP space. Started with Business One, then went to ByDesign, and now I've been working with S4 for 4 years. So the good news is SAP will always have discounts. And as you're all SAP customers, you probably know the best times to ask SAP for discounts. And that's one of the areas as well. We're having a partner like VistaView that has been in this space for as long as we have. Like, we are an extension of your team, and we're partners with SAP, but we're your partner first. So we're always going to work to, keep our ear to the ground and understand what the best levers are to pull with SAP in order to secure the best short and long-term discount and incentives for our clients, especially ones that are about to go through a digital transformation like this one. So the big one I can share right now that I can confirm SAP has on the table through to the end of 2025 is a transformation incentive. So this program is designed specifically to make the transition from Business One or ByDesign or even ECC, some of the older SAP systems, less burdensome financially for at least the first year. So the transformation incentive right now, VistaView applies on behalf of the client. We send it to SAP. We go through the steps. Once that's approved, we're seeing upwards of 1 year of software being granted for free from SAP. So that one of the years of the subscription from that annual contract value is removed. So for the first year, effectively, the first year is free of S/4HANA Cloud ERP software. So as you're going through that migration, obviously not having that overhead makes it a little bit easier. Eligibility, we're seeing, I have not yet seen an SAP customer on Business One or ByDesign not be accepted for this when we've nominated them. But the timing of incentives, they do always change and fluctuate. So if you're not ready to make that move today, then obviously talk to your account manager, your customer success manager from VistaView, because the timing, there's always incentive tied to different times of the year. So that's the one that's on the table right now. And obviously in the future, should that change, we'll always make sure to communicate that to clients that are interested as well.
Thank you very much, James. Appreciate it. Now we have a couple questions around migrations. What does a migration path from ByDesign to Cloud ERP look like? What happens to our customization and reports when we migrate? And I hear this quite a bit. So I think, Nikhil, maybe you can take care of this one.
Yeah, sure. So both great questions. So the migration from ByDesign to S4 will feel very familiar for a lot of BYD users because, like we mentioned earlier, there's 39 best practices in ByDesign. There's 900 in S4, but those 39, if you're leveraging any of those 39 today, they're very similar to what you will see in S4. The only difference is that S4 is a much broader product. It will have much more depth in those solutions as well and in those processes. So what that means for your organization is there's less change management on the front end side, right? When dealing with your end users, there's going to be terminologies that they'll recognize, the processes that they're already familiar with. So what that means then is what we're seeing is that you guys are spending more time talking about strategic conversations on how can we use this product now to make our lives so much more easier, right? We're not spending time going through this is what the process looks like because a lot of those customers already understand what that process is. And now it's about, well, how do we optimize? How do we fine tune and continue to automate so we can, get a faster ROI? And then Hark, I think the second question was regarding the customizations and reports.
Correct. Yeah.
That's another great question. We've already heard one in the Q&A today. So because S4 is a very broad and deep product, what we're seeing is a lot of our BYD and B1 customers with mods, they'll come to us and say, hey, we have concerns, is the investment we've made in our current ERP going to be lost? So what we'll do is what we have here on the screen. We'll do a migration assessment with you and we'll understand these are all the customizations you have at the table, whether it be from ByDesign or B1. And what we'll walk you through is show you how these migration assessments can cover how these customizations are going to be either addressed via standard functionality in S4. That's likely what we see the majority of the time is those investments you've made are actually going to be covered by standard processes, which isn't always a positive because if we're in a cloud solution that is upgrading twice a year, if you have to customize, it can make things a little more complicated. But if it's standard, you're also reducing that risk internally. So that's typically what we see. But if there are scenarios where we'll run into solutions or custom reports that are not native in S4, what we'll then show you guys is how you can plan for that in S4 using the tools that SAP provides to help you develop the solution to fit your specific business needs. Because I think what they are also aware of is, yes, we've got 50 years of best practices built into this solution, but each organization's got that special sauce that makes them different from their competitors, and they want to be able to recognize that. So they have provided us tools where we can develop solutions for you in a much cleaner fashion than in the past, where it's more upgrade safe, so you're not running the risk of each upgrade breaking those customizations. But yeah, that's typically the approach. I would say the majority of the time we see the systems customizations are covered by standard, but there are also opportunities for us to custom develop if that's the need. And if you guys have any questions or concerns, the migration assessment's a great tool to kind of help give you an understanding of what your system landscape is and what it will look like in the target solution that you guys are planning to move to.
Thank you for that, Nikhil. I think we have another question for you, but this should be.
Oh man, lining them up. Yeah, so another 2 great questions regarding master data. So what is the best way to migrate our data, and what do we do with our historical data? I hear this all the time, whether we're migrating into S4 or customers are coming into the SAP product, for the first time. So my advice for best way to migrate data is you have to start early as possible, because data is the backbone of these ERPs. The sooner you start, the better you're setting yourself up for success. So it's really about how long you're working on your data to better set yourself up for success. But there's also some rules of thumbs that we kind of advise our customers through. Everyone's different. Every organization will be different, but putting time boxes around master data, for instance, how when was the last time we've done business with the customers in the last 3 years? That will help you guys bring down your data sets to a much more manageable and relevant data set, where it's driving better outcomes for the business. A part of the benefit of moving into a new system is it's kind of an excuse for spring cleaning on a lot of this data that's been bogged down in your system. So that's typically what we suggest regarding migration of data. And what you do with your historical data, that's another great question, because this is something we see time and time again. So when you move into a new solution, typically your historical data will not come along with you. What customers I see have done is they've either put their legacy systems, whether that's B1 or ByDesign, into an archive mode. And what they'll do is they'll have that solution with maybe 1 or 2 licenses for a few years. And then after that 3rd year, they no longer need that system anymore. Typically what happens is, year 1, you're referring back to that system quite often. Year 2, it's a lot less. Year 3, you're practically not in it. So that's one approach customers do with historical data. Another approach is they do extracts. So they will pull data out and they will centralize it somewhere locally, and then they will try to run it through things like your Power BI tools for that level of reporting. Especially with the way we are going, where AI and data is gold, that is very important to customers. So what we typically refer to is, external reporting solutions that you can overlay with your S4 data. And addressing that second question, are there accelerators? Yes. So VistaView has actually been working with SAP for the last 1.5 years now on building out accelerators to move Business One and Business ByDesign customers faster into S4. So what's actually on the screen right now is just a quick screen grab of showing how we can do data extracts out of ByDesign, put them into a transformation flow in the BTP layer, and that transformation flow will take all of that Business ByDesign data and map it to its S4 equivalent, and automatically put it into a migration template so that you can then upload it into your S4 cloud system. So, SAP has been working on this for some time now. I think they have 19 objects for ByDesign already released. And I believe we are working on some more for Business One, and there's more to come, which I hope we'll be able to share with you guys here later by the end of the year. But SAP is heavily invested in building out accelerators to help ease the transition from Business One or ByDesign into S4.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Nikhil. We got one coming in from the Q&A window from Justin over at WL Plastics. One of our biggest challenges is onboarding new users in ByDesign. There are so many personalizations we have to help the users make. Is that easier in Cloud ERP or S4 Public?
Sure, I can take that one. And if someone else wants to chime in with add more color, that's fine. But I mean, typically you've got options here. So Cloud ERP, like Hark said at the beginning, is really meant to give your users the freedom to design their own landing pages, so that they can kind of optimize the screen based on how they want it to work. But that said, you don't have to abide by that. So you can create business roles in the system. You would typically copy off of. So public cloud ERP has all sorts of seeded roles in the system. And then what you would do is you would copy a role. So a role might be an AP user, cash manager, whatever. And then as part of that copy role, you can also trigger another event, which is to really copy what's called the launch pad. And then that launch pad can be kind of locked down, and you can configure, okay, no, I want this app to always be on the screen here and this app to be to the right of it. And then it's just a matter of assigning those roles to those users. So I think that does make it a little bit easier in public cloud.
Perfect.
Yeah, I also want to chime in a little bit on that, like show on the screen here. This is a screenshot we took from S4 HANA Public Cloud. As you can see, this home landing page is customized to each user's profile. And this user profile can be set up in a template. And then when you set up new users, that user profile template will be copied over so that these, default settings like to-dos, apps, and report dashboards will already be, set up for the user when they get set up.
Perfect. Thank you, Wenling. And good thing you're speaking, because I think the next question probably is good for you to speak to.
Yeah,
How
I
does
think
S4
this
make a
is
salesperson more efficient?
this is one of the customers asked questions. I prepared some, screenshots to illustrate this. First of all, I think this kind of answer one of the other members' question earlier as well about how Joule or AI helps users process tasks more efficiently inside the system. So you see, when you log into the system, you get your own home landing page based on your, personalization. And then on this home landing page, there's different elements. One of the elements is what they call the AI power driven reporting dashboards that you can see. So I think it's probably the next slide, that if you can go to the next slide. So these reporting dashboards, they can be provided by the system out of the box. And then depending on the user's, usage within the system, SAP will also able to help, propose recommended reporting dashboard as well when you log in, so that you can either take that proposal to put that into your dashboard, or you can easily create a new card using the AI Joule, Copilot, chatbot to add that reporting dashboard to your home landing page. You see the inside card there. There is report. Sorry, the phone was small. There was a report that showing the sales order for specific sold to party on the very left corner. That's a part that was generated by the AI. Okay, but just in essence, to answer this question for the sales users experience, there's a bunch of reporting and tools available out of the box, like this sales order fulfillment dashboard, give you the list of overview of all the issues that potentially a sales order has run into, and then you can click on any of these, color barcodes on this report to narrow down the data, etc. It's really making the user's experience more easier.
Thank you, Wenling. Got a couple. I don't think we'll get through all the questions, but let's try and get through as many as we can. So the next question, tell me about the multi-company enablement in S4.
Right. So, I mean, I think the big benefit here, and I sort of, in that first question, talked a little bit about intercompany, but it really means that standing up a new legal entity is really just creating a single element, which is an organizational unit. So in fact, if you wanted to stand up another company in your system and just start booking journal entries to that, you could literally do that in 15 minutes of configuration in the system. If you want to, of course, if you wanted to work with your supply chain and your sales orders processes and stuff, you're going to have to then do some data, not migration, because potentially you already have that data in your system, but you might have to do some data enhancements through templates so that you can link all the data that is required for this new company. But it's really very easy to stand it up. That's kind of about it. So
Enough. We'll take a couple more questions and then we'll just kind of we'll have to unfortunately leave a few, but we will follow up in an email with those answers to those questions as well. One of the issues we are currently having in ByDesign is processing sales orders with 200 or more lines. It's taking a long time to process. Are these types of performance issues improved in S4?
Yeah, I can speak on this one because in one of my recent tests in S4, I will upload the sales order with about 700 line item in that sales order, and the system process the upload in 1 or 2 minutes. So I think that's a big difference between S4 and ByDesign and B1, because if you have big transaction volumes in B1 and ByDesign, you know that there's the limitations where you cannot put more than 500 row items into the sales order in B1 or ByDesign. Now that limitation has been removed from S4 side, which allow you to put as many transactions as you want or as many rows as you want within the system, because again, S4 is built in this in-memory database. So the processing time and the processing mechanism is way different than B1 and ByDesign.
Perfect. Thank you, Wenling. I think that we're going to skip over these last few questions, which we will answer for you. Very last thing, a couple last action items. One is our next episode, Industry Insights, Real Workflows with SAP S4HANA. It'll be hosted by Nuruddin. I think there was a pop-up question, Sonia, that you wanted. There we go. So if you guys, if there's a specific industry that you would like to be featured in this webinar, if you can select that industry on here, that we would appreciate that. This gives us an idea of where we need to focus. And last but not least is our final slide. So guys, thank you again for the time today. I know time is a commodity that we can't gain back and we can't acquire more of. So I appreciate you guys spending an hour with us. We will send out the slide deck as well as a survey accompanied with a survey. Please, if you can fill out the survey, we would really appreciate it. It helps us to continue to improve our experience for you. And the last thing, if I can leave you with one takeaway, one action item, one call to action for yourselves, is start thinking about the migration assessment. Reach out to your CSM and your SAM, ask them what it looks like, and go down that journey. Even if you're not ready for taking the S4 journey today, tomorrow, next year, that migration assessment gives you an idea of what that journey looks like when you do decide that S4 it's time to move on to the S4 platform. So it's not value that's lost. It's an investment that you put in now that's going to pay dividends somewhere down the road when you are ready to take that S4 journey. So call to action there, guys. Talk to your CSMs and your SAMs about the migration assessment. Happy to walk you through the entire process and what it looks like. And Nikhil is on the call here. He leads that migration team. So I'm happy to have him join you on a call if you have additional questions. So again, thank you guys so much. Really, really appreciate it. And have yourselves a great rest of your day.